Ingredients for a home-cooked meal in around 30 minutes. Like this recipe. Start with a working couple. Add 2 demanding jobs. Mix all too well. Receive HelloFresh delivery. Trim off temptation to order pizza. Follow step-by-step recipe until holy ravioli. You can add mushroom ravioli gratin to your resumes. Fist bump and enjoy. Delicious ingredients you'll love to eat. Simple recipes you'll live to cook. HelloFresh. Get cooking. Get $20 off your first delivery plus free shipping at hellofresh.com/radio.
Some people can't handle sports around the clock. If they only knew what they were missing.
Florida Sports Talk Radio, 100.1 FM and AM 900 in Ocala, AM 1230 and 92.1 FM in Gainesville. Or on your smartphone by downloading the TuneIn Radio app. You're listening to WGGG Gainesville, WMOP Ocala, W261BA Ocala, W221DX Gainesville. This is your Florida Sports Talk station.
Fox Sports Trending now.
Gene Chizik is stepping down as defensive coordinator at the University of North Carolina to focus on his family, which apparently still lives out of state. We are brought to you by TrueCar. When you're ready to buy a new or used car, visit TrueCar to enjoy a more confident car buying experience. Go to TrueCar.com. Cardinals quarterback Carson Palmer says he will return to play next season. He's 37. The Colts release veteran linebacker DeQuell Jackson. The Seahawks sign kicker Blair Walsh, ex of Minnesota. Stephen Hauschka is a free agent. 11 NHL games tonight, including San Jose at Boston. That game is still on despite the severe weather in the East. The league would not postpone it. Bob Costas will no longer host TV's Olympic coverage. Mike Tirico will take over starting 1 year from now with the Winter Games in South Korea. Milwaukee's Jabari Parker suffered a torn ACL last night. Like his rookie season, he's out for the year. I'm Steve DeSager.
We are Buffalo. Florida Sports Talk is broadcasting live from the Pomodoro Cafe studios. Pomodoro Cafe, located on 39th Avenue in Gainesville. For savory menu items, check out PomodoroCafe.com.
This is Southern Pigskin Tonight with host Buddy Martin on the Southern Pigskin Radio Network.
Hello, welcome to the Southern Pigskin Tonight Show with Buddy Martin, along with Tom Schmitz, and starring 4-time Super Bowl champion and co-host of Fox NFL Sunday, Terry Bradshaw. Will be along a little bit later on. Our conversation early in the week. And, well, Tom, it's finally happened. We are footballless. I don't know how we're going to survive the next 6 weeks, but with no football.
But, Buddy, I've been trying to tell you for 6 years. You've just got to go broaden your horizons. There's more to life than football, pal.
No, it's not.
There's more than life.
Oh. What am I hearing? The original footballaholic trying to tell me he is already jonesing for some leather popping?
Buddy.
Mr. Jock?
Buddy.
Mr.
Please.
Georgia Southern?
Please. Calm yourself.
Oh, please.
As Aaron Rodgers said, RELAX. Practice a little Zen, pal. Like Phil Jackson.
Zen? Phil Jackson? Phil Jackson? Are you kidding me? The same Phil Jackson who's got former Knicks player, all-star Charles Oakley so angry and upset and disgusted that Oakley went off in the garden last night on the owner and had to be removed by security. That Phil Jackson? That organization? Please.
I heard about Charles Oakley, but just follow my lead, buddy, okay? Yeah. Breathe in, breathe out. Breathe in, breathe out. Imagine yourself by a stream in the mountains, pondering the sky, the clouds.
Oh, I'm sorry. What you say? Okay, I'm good now. Good to know. Okay. On today's show, we'll speak with Joe Williams of Mile High Sports about the Super Bowl. He has some unfinished business. And about March Madness. That's right. It is basketball season on high right now. And then we have Coach Steve Spurrier. He has some of the same questions we all did about that play being second-guessed. Kyle Shanahan, his call from the New England 22-yard line. I read a quote today that said, he'll live with that the rest of his life, and he'll never forget it. I bet he won't. He'll have bad dreams about it. Plus, Coach Spurrier talks a little bit about recruiting. Also, we'll be hearing from Mark Long, the Associated Press. We talked to him earlier about the soaring hopes of Gator basketball fans and the inevitable comparison between Mike White and Billy Donovan. I heard a podcast last night, Brady Ackerman, his podcast every Wednesday night, and they were talking about what kind of a basketball coach White is and what he's going to be. And the consensus was that he had a lot of mannerisms of Billy Donovan when he came here. And Shane Matthews, who's his podcast partner, said he remembered him being at Louisiana Tech, and whenever he was coaching there, Shane claims he sort of discovered him, that he saw him coaching and thought he looked like Billy Donovan. So, is he? We'll address that with Mark Long a little bit later on. And finally, we're still talking about the Super Bowl, but Terry Bradshaw's week was a little bit more than just football. He struck up a friendship with, of all people, music icon Lady Gaga. He'll talk about that later in the show. As for Joe Williams, he's still talking Super Bowl. I was on his show in Denver today earlier. But Joe Williams of Mile High Sports is slowly drifting into his college basketball mode. I know this. This is primarily a football show. But I have to admit, Tom, that the odds of March Madness are upon us. It's time to talk about the seeds, not the kind of seeds the farmers put in the ground. Joe Williams, are you ready to talk some basketball?
Absolutely. Absolutely. How you guys doing?
We're doing all right, Joe. And I listened to a program today talking about the seeds in each of the divisions. And it's going to be interesting because there's a lot of game left on the table. But clearly there's a couple of favorites out there. I'll get you in a minute to tell me who your top seeds are and which ones you'd like at this point in time. But I know out west tonight there's some games you're going to be watching. You got Oregon and I know UCLA, and I think Gonzaga plays tonight. What about some of those games?
Well, out west, if you're talking about top seeds, out west it looks like Gonzaga, UCLA, Oregon, and Arizona would come out of there. The Big 12 is loaded, and it's tough to figure. Kansas, though, looks pretty good if they can keep their roster together. They've got there are some allegations being thrown around, and you never know where that stuff's going to land. But Kansas is good. Baylor looks awfully good, too. Both those teams, I would think, are, in the mix for a top seed. In the Midwest, I can't figure out what's happened to Michigan State. Tom Izzo, they usually start kind of slow, but by the middle of February, you figure they're going to be in the mix. And, this year has been so tough because by this time, where you're a couple of weeks into February, you're about a month away from the selection show, you can identify, at least I usually could, 2 or 3 teams that any of those 3 you would figure, well, they're probably going to win it. They'll win it all. They'll be there at the end. One of these 2 or 3. I can't do 2 or 3 this year yet.
Yeah,
I've been into basketball since since about the middle of January, so I haven't been watching it probably as long as y'all have. But I can't get it down to 2 or 3. I can get it down to 9 or 10.
Yeah.
But you know what? That's about as good as I can do right now. In terms of figuring out number 1 seeds.
Well, they're
Michigan
talking
State
about
is,
Orlando.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a prime spot for Florida, but right now the projections don't have Florida in that. They got FSU, a team that beat Florida in there right now. That could change. Gonzaga's getting a lot of run right now. They seem like they're the darling, but clearly there's no one team, Joe, that we can say is going to go hands down a number 1 or 2 seed at this point. There's just too much left to go, including the conference tournaments.
Exactly. And like I said, I haven't been able to narrow it down to just 1 or 2 teams.
Yeah. Joe Williams of Mile High Sports in Denver. I want to get this in, Joe, real quick because we want to talk some Super Bowl stuff. And you have a little unfinished business, and you asked me this question on your show today in Denver. I'll turn it on you. Did New England win the game, or did Atlanta choke?
That's one of the easiest questions of the year, and I think we all saw it, and it's one of the great you talk about coaching malfeasance. If I'm Arthur Blank, I'm going to sit down that Dan Quinn, not for publicity. It's going to be private, and I'm going to ask him, have you learned your lesson? because I hired you to be the grown-up in the room. And you obviously were not the grown-up in the room, and I needed a grown-up in that room so we could have put that game away. And when the time come down there on the 1st and 10 on the 22, with about 4.5 minutes, whatever it was remaining, we're going to run 3 times. We're not going to, if we don't get a yard, we don't care because of our field goal kicker. And we're going to force them to use their timeouts, just like we see every Sunday in the NFL. We're going to force them to use their timeouts. We're going to bring him in. We're going to kick the field goal. We're going to win the game. This is how you do it, Kyle. I want to show you this before you go to San Francisco, because this might come in handy when I show you how to secure a football game. All they required was the grown-up in the room, and there wasn't one.
If I'm
Arthur Blank, what?
No, one word only. One word. Clock management. Oh, wait, that's 2. Yeah, but that is really the issue.
You can call it clock management. I call it coaching malfeasance. You can call it whatever you want to call it. But New England did not win that game. Atlanta lost that game.
Joe Williams.
And, yeah, go ahead.
Tom Schmitz here, an admitted Atlanta Falcons fan. That may be the biggest choke job I've ever seen in my life.
Wine.
Well, when you consider what was at stake and, what was on the table, it was the biggest meltdown ever. And it was a gag job. And I've seen some starting right here in Denver. But I've never seen anything like what they had. They had that ball game won. And,
I know this is going to evolve into a conversation about John Elway. I know that. It's coming.
That last 8 minutes is the worst I've ever seen.
All right, you're on the record there. I got 30 seconds. Who's this quarterback you keep talking about in Colorado who was better than Luke Del Rio, who would like to be a walk-on for Florida? You keep telling me about it.
His name is Judd Erickson, and Mike Bobo is happy as hell to get him to walk on a preferred walk-on. He's an all-Colorado quarterback. He's led the state in passing like 2 years in a row. He's got a big arm. He's a 4.0 student. He's about 6'3", 6'4", to about 210 pounds, can read defenses. His dad did video for the Broncos for 21 years, so he learned how to read film and do all that stuff. And I tell you what, Florida could do worse. Anybody could do worse than him. And Bobo is so thankful that he's coming in as a walk-on because he said, I got 2 others like Judd, but I didn't have anybody who was real mobile. Judd's one of those pocket passers. Judd Erickson's his name. Jim McElwain, if he was smart, he'd get on this in a hurry.
Well,
Judd Erickson.
We're here in Gainesville, Ocala. They're here listening. We're listening out there. Again, tell us his name again, and they can always use a good walk-on quarterback unless he goes to CSU. What's his name again? Judd Erickson?
Judd Erickson.
Okay. How big? How tall is he?
He's about 6'4", 6'3", 6'4".
Okay. All right. Well, all right, Coach McElwain, if you're out there, Coach Spurrier, Judd Erickson. Joe, we appreciate it very much. Good talking to you.
All right, fellas. Talk to you next week.
All right. Joe Williams, Mile High Sports. Always a pleasure to have Joe. I wanted to get a chance to talk to you about some of these announcers leaving. We heard today that Bob Costas now is stepping aside as an Olympics announcer. One more bites the dust. We've had a lot of them lately, it seems like. Scully, Musburger, Lundquist, and now Bob Costas passing the torch to Mike Tirico to host the 2018 Winter Games. I don't know, but just how it goes, I guess. It's their time. But we've lost some great ones, Tom, that's for sure.
We have lost some great ones, and all it seems to come right here in a row. You know, you Vern Lundquist, Brent Musburger, Bob Costas now. You know, we've lost some great. Vince Scully over to say some good announcers have left here very quickly. It just shows that I'm aging, buddy.
Well, it's probably the voices of our youth, too. You know what I mean? Whenever that happens, we think back to the times we heard them on big plays and big games, and we think, gosh, I hate to lose those guys. But, hey, time marches on, and that stuff happens. So Bob Costas is no longer the voice of the host of the Winter Games. He's had a great run. He's a highly professional guy.
Mike Tirico takes over now.
Mike Tirico takes over, exactly. Coming up here in just a second, we'll talk to the head ball coach at the University of Florida. We talked to him earlier in the week about this. He had some things to say about the Super Bowl, as a matter of fact, and the call by Kyle Shanahan, which, as we can see very well after talking to Joe Williams, is still resonating with fans. And I imagine probably up in Atlanta, they had to clear the bridges off after that game because those folks out there probably very, very upset. Stay tuned. More coming your way from Southern Pigskin tonight. Steve Spurrier next.
More with Buddy Martin and Southern Pigskin tonight on the Southern Pigskin Radio Network next.
Car accident, work accident, wrongful death, personal injury, Social Security disability. Contact Daniel L. Hightower, lawyer, fighting for accident victim justice since 1976. Call 352-629-7777. That's 352-629-7777. Or visit danhightower.com. Offices in Ocala, Florida.
Bank approval. Vehicle purchase process fixed rate alone.
Chris Spears here from Prestige Auto Sales. Last month, I took in so many cars on trade, I'm buried in inventory.
It's an inventory avalanche. There's cars everywhere.
Which means right now, you can drive home a nicer, newer ride for just $7 down.
That's right. With approved credit, you can be in driver's heaven for just $7 down.
So don't spend another minute in a car you hate. Come in out of the cold and drive a nicer, newer ride for just $7 down.
Feeling snowed in by past credit mishaps? It's no big deal. My For the People credit approval process makes car buying easy and stress-free. It's an avalanche of approvals.
So don't stay frozen in a car you hate. We want you to stay clear and come in out of the cold and drive for just $7 down. But hurry, we should have this cleaned up in a couple weeks, and this deal won't last to the end of the month. I'm Chris Spears, your dealer for the people.
Visit Prestige Auto Sales today in Ocala or see all the cars at PrestigeForYou.com or call 694-1234. Yes, 694-1234. See you at Prestige.
Document Technologies has been helping Ocala business owners save money on their copiers and printers for more than 7 years. Now they've added the full line of award-winning color copiers and printers from CopyStar. CopyStar has a reputation for their overall low cost of ownership and unmatched reliability. Combine that with Document Technologies' fast local service and 5-year guarantee. You have a combination that can't be beat. Plus, they have special programs for nonprofit organizations and government programs. To find out more about how Document Technologies and CopyStar's award-winning color products can help your business, call Bill Schroeder at 352-368-6664 and start saving today. We use Document Technologies, and so should you. Call 352-368-6664.
And in Gainesville at 372-6666.
Document Technologies, the only copier company you'll ever need.
This is Southern Pigskin Tonight with host Buddy Martin on the Southern Pigskin Radio Network.
So we've established with Joe Williams that clearly the game was lost by Atlanta and not won by New England. I don't agree with that. We all agree on one thing, that the call made by Kyle Shanahan was the wrong one. And as Joe said, they should be talking about that with the owner. And also, Coach Steve Spurrier had a little role in the good recruiting. Gators pulled it out. I read today where one of the top guys in South Florida said they got a bunch of all-stars out of South Florida. So Florida 10th in the nation in recruiting according to one ranking service. And here's what the head ball coach had to say.
Hey, buddy, good being with you guys tonight. What's happening down there?
Well, what's happening down here is we're talking about a lot about a change in the coaching staff at Georgia. At Alabama. And I figured this is a stat for you that you'll like. Whenever Florida State plays Alabama on September the 2nd, I think it is, in Atlanta, Nick Saban will have his third offensive coordinator in 3 games.
That's pretty good. But I don't know if it means all that much. As long as you have the number 1 recruiting class in America, I think, 8 of the last 11 years, something like that he has. Yeah. So they got plenty of ball players. And buddy, you might be able to coach those athletes they got at Alabama.
I could go up there and coach them up. I'm not a bully. I know I could do better in that department for sure. Listen, we talked a little bit today about this, and I know that you have a lot of respect for Coach Saban, and everybody's got their styles. People certainly criticized you at one time because you were so emphatic on the sidelines, and you said, this is how I do it. So he's been successful, who am I to say, but it just seems that there is a little trouble in River City when you start losing offensive coordinators like that. I listened to your friend Paul Feinbaum today rail on for about 30 minutes regarding this. What a surprise it was, how mysterious it was. He couldn't believe it. I don't know. In your opinion, from a long distance, was it more about a better job opportunity, or maybe you think he wanted to get a new start someplace else?
Buddy, I tell you what, these coaches, so many, when they get a chance to go pro, go to the NFL, they jump. Don't ask me why, but maybe it's no recruiting. Maybe they got a little off season. I don't know. But if the opportunity comes to go to the NFL, a lot of college coaches seem to want to go. And I think that's sort of what happened with Sarkisian there. He and Dan Quinn, the head coach up there, I guess are pals back from the days out on the West Coast. Got to know each other. So it's not all that surprising. And, Nick Saban has won a bunch of championships and national championships with different coordinators. So I don't think the coordinator on offense or really even on defense it means all that much at Alabama. As long as he's the head coach and they have the #1 recruiting class, they're going to be pretty good.
Well, you got one right there in the Steve Spurrier Florida Field at the Swamp, who formerly was with Saban, obviously. And that, I guess sometimes, I don't know, Steve, this is just one more question. When you have someone who's kind of, let's say, high-strung, like Kiffin was, I don't know Sarkisian, and Nick is the kind of guy that's, just hard-nosed and blunt and whatever, and he dressed down him on Kiffin on national TV. Is it more likely to be angst and problems between the coaches than there is normally? Because I can see where really Jim McElwain would fit right in there with Nick Saban.
Well, you'll have to ask Coach Mack his relation during the games and so forth, because he was down there calling the plays as the offensive coordinator.
Yeah.
But I never had that problem. I had some defensive coordinators come and go, but I've never fired an offensive coordinator in my entire career.
Yeah, because you coach the offense.
I've only had one. I've only had one my entire career, 30 years worth. So I didn't worry about the offensive coordinator. At Florida, I think we had 5 different defensive coordinators in the 7 SEC championships.
Really?
So the Gator fans I don't think they worried too much about who the defensive coordinator was during those times.
Yeah, I know your style though, and of course I know that if you were an offensive coordinator, I think it had to be a guy who was hands off. Because I don't think I watched you call a lot of ball plays. I think I know your style to say you wouldn't put up with too much guff. Anyway, that's just me talking. Let me take you to Houston, Texas on Sunday night. You got the ball at the 22-yard line, and a field goal pretty much gives you a lock to win the Super Bowl. And you have the ball 1st and 10 at 22, and you put the ball up twice. When all you need to do was get enough yardage to run the ball 2 yards and to kick a field goal, and you're probably going to win the game. You know what I'm referring to in Kyle Shanahan. I'm trying to figure that out.
Yep. Well, obviously the head coach probably listens in and heard the pass called. Was it on 2nd down, or didn't they run once for no gain? Then they got the sack and then the holding penalty.
No, 1st and 2nd. Was it what?
Coleman ran for it on 1st down.
Oh,
2nd down is when they went for the
pass. Yeah, they ran for no gain or -1, and then they started throwing, the object is to win the game, not to be aggressive. I heard their coach say, our style is aggressive, and I hope I was aggressive too. But at some point, to win the game, you sometimes take a knee and let the clock run out, or you just run up the middle and let the clock run out. When we beat FSU in the national championship game, I asked my wife today, I said, how many passes did we throw in the 4th quarter? She said, I don't know, 3, 4. And I said, no, we threw 1. But we had such a good running game that we pretty much ran out the 4th quarter against FSU. And we did that so often, as our fans would know, that a good passing team, a guy like Tom Brady, you just got to try to stay on the field, get that clock moving. And Atlanta, they can look back and they got to admit we didn't do a good job of doing that. And it came out, it turned back and bit them. And Brady, best quarterback, he and Peyton are the 2 best, I think, throwing it around. And they gave him too much time, and he came back and beat him.
Did you have that feeling when you saw that happen that maybe they're giving him too much? And Brady didn't seem like he was in a hurry, by the way. He seemed totally cool, even with the clock was
Oh
down.
yeah, he's been there. He's been there so many times before, and we've seen him win so many of those games coming from behind. And when they scored right there in the third quarter, there, even though they missed the extra point, and I said, hey, 28-9. Yeah. It's not over. It's not completely over.
Yeah.
But to make two-point conversions, odds on that are probably 25-1 or something. I don't know what they are. But they did make both of them, and they were well prepared, and they went right down the field that last drive. So, yeah, it's one Atlanta had it in their hand, but they sort of messed it up, I think.
Steve, have you seen that Statue of Liberty play, or if you want to call it fake Statue of Liberty that Brady ran when they ran the 2-point play before?
Oh yeah, well the quarterback actually
didn't you run that
over his head.
Did you run that? You ran that.
Yeah, we've
play.
seen that one.
Yeah.
I don't know if I ever run it, but I've seen it several times, and basically the offensive line sort of knocked him backwards pretty good there.
They did. Yeah.
That was, I think, the key for New England to score on that play.
Yeah. All right, catch me up with the other Coach Spurriers. There's 2 more out there now, and at least unless you've taken a coaching job today, and then there would be 3. But hey, you can go to Alabama and be offensive coordinator. What about? Tell us what Steve Jr. now, of course, got a new job. He's in Western Kentucky. Seems to be liking it. What's he doing there? And
yeah,
Steve's
he's at the Western Kentucky Hilltoppers, quarterback coach, assistant head coach. Mike Sanford's the new head coach there, young guy, and he's really thrilled about this opportunity to coach quarterbacks, be involved with the play calling and so forth, and to advance in coaching. Yeah, you need to get around those quarterbacks and play calling and offensive coordinator and all that. So I think it's a wonderful opportunity for Steve and Scotty. Scotty, as you know, is down in South Florida with Charlie Strong. He's one of their analysts down there, and he's certainly happy about getting back to Florida.
I've asked you this question before. I know you want to go watch the basketball game, but did you encourage both of them to go into coaching? I know you hired them, but I mean
no, buddy. You let your kids choose their profession, and they just sort of migrated toward coaching, watching me, and going to all the ball games, I guess. But no, I certainly let them make their own choice.
Yeah, well. They made it. Now they're in the business, getting a paycheck. Final question: how much did you enjoy? I saw you on TV sitting in the Exact Tech Arena when Florida put a whipping on Kentucky.
Oh, I tell you what, Florida, we have a heck of a basketball team. Mike White is really an outstanding coach, in my opinion, and will continue to be. Now, the way those guys play, buddy. I mean, we got athletes. We got about 3 6'10" guys, seems like, and they can run the floor, play defense, jump out of the gym there. And the guards are fast and quick and can shoot. I mean, this is a really good team, I think. I think we got a chance to go a long way. And, of course, Mike's got to keep their heads on level and do that one game at a time bit. But I think this basketball team can go a long, long way in the tournament this year.
And you're a big basketball fan. People might not know you're an all-state basketball player.
Well, basketball, baseball, football. Yeah, heck, I'm a fan of all of them. And, heck, our gymnastic girls, our volleyball girls, our soccer girls, they all had big years. And Florida's got a good program. Scott Strickland and AD and all those guys. We got good coaches in all the sports, excellent athletes. And that's what Florida sports and athletics are all about, trying to be champions.
Yeah. Hey, final quick question. You spoke to these recruits the last day, and according to what you told me or I read someplace, these guys who were their last visit, you said something to them that resonated with them and resonated with me too. If you're waiting for your last visit, and you said you waited until your last visit to come to Florida, and you said, quote, "It's the greatest decision of my life." Tell me about that.
Well, it was sort of ironic. It was the last weekend of recruiting, and I was in town and talking with Coach Mack, and he said, we're going to say a few words to the guys. I said, sure, I'd love to. So I just said a few words, and I said it's sort of ironic that my last visit as a recruit was to the University of Florida. Beautiful day down here. It was about 35 degrees in Johnson City, and everything I loved everything about the place, and Coach Graves was a big influence. He just said, you'll get a chance to play as a sophomore. That's all you ever asked for. And I did, and met my wife down here, as you know, and all the good things that have happened in my life since picking a college was because of coming to the University of Florida. So I said, hopefully a bunch of you guys will do the same thing. So I think we picked up 3 or 4 on that last weekend.
Yeah.
I'm not sure exactly.
Big finish.
But anyway, I can help the Gators. I'm trying to do it. Okay, buddy?
Thank you, Steve. Appreciate
all
your
right,
time.
good talking to you.
All right.
See y'all.
See you. All right, so of all those things he mentioned, the biggest thing was he met Jerry. Of all those things he did, meeting Jerry was the biggest deal.
Hold on, buddy. Steve Spurrier, I think, started a legacy here that Billy Donovan picked up on, Urban Meyer picked up on. Can we say Mike White looks like he's on his way to continuing that legacy?
Well, I don't know if we can say it or not. Probably. We'll see. We had that discussion with Mark Long of the Associated Press, and a lot of people talk about the similarities of the two. Matter of fact, we'll talk about that with Mark Long next right here on the Southern Pigskin Tonight Show.
More with Buddy Martin and Southern Pigskin Tonight on the Southern Pigskin Radio Network next.
Florida Sports Talk is broadcasting live from the Pomodoro Cafe studios. Pomodoro Cafe, located on 39th Avenue in Gainesville. For savory menu items, check out PomodoroCafe.com.
HelloFresh delivers recipes and ingredients for a home-cooked meal in around 30 minutes. Like this recipe. Start with a working couple. Add 2 demanding jobs. Mix all too well. Receive HelloFresh delivery. Trim off temptation to order pizza. Follow step-by-step recipe until holy ravioli. You can add mushroom ravioli gratin to your resumes. Fist bump and enjoy. Delicious ingredients you'll love to eat. Simple recipes you'll live to cook. HelloFresh. Get cooking. Get $20 off your first delivery plus free shipping at HelloFresh.com/radio.
Napa know-how. If you've got a hatch, trunk, or hood that won't stay open, your lift supports need replacing. Luckily, Napa has Turbo Lift lift supports for $10 off a pair. So unless you're one of those guys who thinks a sturdy helmet and an old 2x4 are suitable replacements, you'll want to get some Turbo Lift supports from Napa. Now $10 off a pair. That's Napa know-how.
Napa know-how.
At participating Napa Auto Parts stores. Offer expires 2/28/17.
Here in Florida, when you're looking to go to the beach, you've got hundreds of options. Theme parks, no shortage of options there either. But when it comes to home insurance, most companies have only one option. Allstate is different. Here in Florida, Allstate agents offer home insurance options from several companies, so they can help you get the coverage that's right for you. And they'll help you save on quality car insurance, too. For starters, safe drivers save 45% with Allstate. So before you settle for just one option, talk to someone with many home and car insurance options. Your local Allstate agent. Are you in good hands?
Why not allow us to help you with all of your insurance? Call the McDonald Agency today at 622-2333.
Allstate has no financial responsibility to you for any home insurance policy you purchase and would not be responsible for any claims. Allstate does not make any representations or accept liability related to operations of home insurance companies, including but not limited to their financial conditions. Subject to terms, conditions, and availability. Savings vary.
What can Culligan water softeners do for you? Well, I'm glad you asked. Protect your plumbing, appliances, and fixtures from scale buildup and hard water damage. Extend the life of your appliances and fixtures. Eliminate white spots, films, and soap scum from your glassware, silverware, and shower. Reduce your usage of detergents and household cleansers by more than 50%. Eliminate scale buildup in your water heater and save you up to $50 per month on your utility bill. And Culligan water softeners promote healthier skin and hair and provide softer, whiter, and cleaner laundry. So visit CulliganNorthFlorida.com today or call 1-800-233-2063 for your local Culligan man.
All right. Hey, Culligan man.
Hi, I'm Shelby from TT Distributors, located in Ocala on Highway 40 West. TT Distributors is dedicated to bringing our customers quality horse products, stable and farrier supply, and supplements at affordable prices. Whether you have a racehorse or a pasture pony, we have what you need. Come to TT for one of the largest selections of horse and farrier products in the state, either in-store Monday through Saturday or online at ttdistributors.com.
Hey guys, it's Mike Tuck from Tuck and O'Neill. We're excited to be joining forces with Mark McLeod in Ocala and Gainesville and Orlando. Florida Sports Talk spreading their wings and flying as we cover the wide world of sports weekday afternoons. Don't miss us. It's a lot of fun.
This is Southern Pigskin Tonight with host Buddy Martin on the Southern Pigskin Radio Network.
This is primarily a football show, but sometimes we do resemble another pigskin. And, of course, aren't basketballs made out of pigskin? Well, yeah, it's basketball season, and, of course, March Madness around the corner. Florida on a roll right now after the 72-60 win over Georgia, won 5 in a row by large margins. All of a sudden, Mike White's getting some run, and people are starting to make comparisons to the obvious. Mike White and Billy Donovan. We talked with Mark Long, the AP, about this. Right now, let's go to the hotline and talk to Mark Long of the Associated Press. Hey, Mark, how you doing?
Hey, doing well, buddy. How are you?
Been a while. We just were talking about, Tom and I were saying, that we used to have you on a lot, and you've been busy, and things are going on, so glad to hook up with you again. And Billy Donovan's ghost and Mike White's presence. And the inevitable things that, come up now about Donovan and Mike White. And you knew Billy Donovan. You covered him a long time, and you've gotten to know Mike White as well. Give me your take on what are the similarities between Donovan and White?
Well, I mean, if you compare young Billy Donovan versus young Mike White, there are a lot of similarities. I mean, two guys who clearly there's mounting evidence that these guys know what they're doing. This isn't it wasn't the big name hire that some of these other schools made, certainly in the SEC, but it is becoming unbelievably clear that Mike White knows how to coach and knows how to recruit. You look around that team right now, and he's actually, I know, he took over a program that Billy had built, so you would expect Mike to have a better starting platform than Billy had. But, the numbers in his first 2 years, Mike White's got, considerably more wins and considerably more conference wins than Billy Donovan did in his first 2 years at this point. So, but that's not a big surprise given, that Billy Donovan, what kind of the keys that Billy Donovan gave to Mike White. But I think the one thing to me that just stands out is these guys can coach and recruit, and you really see it in some of these wins that Mike White has put together. And the other thing that they do have in common is they both are defensive-minded guys. It is, they didn't build a program to bring in a bunch of one-and-dones like Kentucky. They didn't bring a program to come in and just chuck a bunch of threes, although that's kind of a lot of people think that. That's not the reality. It is defense first in Gainesville under Billy Donovan and the same under Mike White, and that's how it's built, and that's the philosophy, and that's what they want to do. Everything else is secondary to playing defense.
All right, so we're looking at the two records. Mike White is 40-20 overall. Could be at 20 wins here as of this weekend. That's a very impressive record. I went back and looked at Billy Donovan's first 60 games, let's say, 59 games, and Donovan's records were 13-7 and 13-17, and 14-15. So he was 27-32 after 59 games. Now, in fairness, and you would know this, Billy was taking a team in a program that had problems and NCAA violations and what have you a few years before, and had to build that program back to where it was. He inherited a good team from Lon, but he had to get the mustard back on the fastball, so to speak. So I give him that. I give him the fact that Billy had to start from a more difficult position. Because let's face it, Mike White inherited a program that was basketball royalty for a long time. So how much of an advantage is that for Mike White to take a program over that was in good shape?
Yeah, huge advantage. I mean, let's not discount what Mike White has done, because he's made a very average team from a talent standpoint. There's not a lot of guys on this team that are playing the NBA, but the sum of the parts are better than the sum is better than the parts, and he's got these guys playing together. And we saw Billy do the same thing. a number of years. In fact, in 2014, Billy's last Final Four team, that team with Patrick Young and Will Yeguet and Casey Prather and Scotty Wilbekin and Michael Frazier and Dorian Finney-Smith coming off the bench, that team was not this ultra-talented team, but together they played with a lot of cohesiveness and really played well together. And that's what Mike White is doing right now. He didn't inherit a ton of talent, but he's getting the most out of these guys, and collectively they're really, really good.
All right, so sometimes I look at the bench and I see White. His posture is similar to Donovan's. You know, it really is. I have to look at it again. He's got
the number one thing is they both ditched the jacket before the opening set.
Exactly. And although I will say this, Mike White is more composed, at least externally.
No question. Listen, I can count on I need two hands to count the number of whiteboards that I've watched Billy Donovan break over the years. I mean, he would throw those things, he would smash them. I mean, he just, pieces flying. When Billy Donovan would get unbelievably angry and he could stare at you, he was not Bobby Knight, but he wasn't all that far behind from his stare and some of the grimaces and growls he could give his players and certainly the officials. And Mike White is not in that ballpark, but they are absolutely similar in so many ways. But Mike White can bark if he needs to.
Seems to be a good recruiter. All right, let's talk about the team he's got on the floor now. Last night, they as Tom pointed out, they did blow a 16-point lead. But now the sum total of this is 5 straight by 30 points or whatever it is now. And they're winning on the road more impressively than they are in their own gym almost, although Kentucky was pretty hard to beat in terms of a win. This team looks sometimes too good to be true. I don't know how this is going to play out the next couple of weeks, but with the bench he's got and the ability to play up to 10 people if he has to, he got 3, 6, 10 kids that run the floor so good, he has got a lot of firepower there and something in reserve. What is your take on that? I know the defenses are going to carry you a lot further, and you have cold shooting nights, but at this point in time, would you say this team is starting to look like a Sweet 16 team?
Yeah, I would absolutely think that Sweet 16 is something that this team should absolutely put on its radar and have set as its goal. Now then, the question is, can it go any further? Because I do think that, defensively, they've got all the pieces in place, unbelievable defense inside, got enough length to get out and close out on three-point shooters. Their help defense is unbelievable. They communicate really well. The question is, do they have enough offensively? So it's not the starting five. They certainly have some depth with Keith Stone coming off the bench, Kavarius Hayes coming off the bench, Canyon Barry, Chris Chioza with his triple-double last week coming off the bench. They've got pieces. The problem is they just don't have that go-to guy, and they just don't have that really, really high-volume scorer.
Well, I think they have a go-to guy, but he didn't start. I think Canyon Barry's the guy that's going to go put the ball in his hands when you wouldn't need a bucket. Kayvon Allen clearly is not that guy. He's too inconsistent. He's a heck of a player. But you mentioned this. There's a lot of Hayes is a tremendous-looking player at times. But you're right. There's not that one. By the same token, there's so much talent on a given night. Anybody can lead. Look at Casey Hill. They've got more productivity out of him now in the last 7 or 8 games than he's ever been at Florida. And he got that little mid-range little floater there now that's come back to him. So they got some really good parts. The question is, as you say, will those parts come together with a sum total of a team that can compete? That's the big question. So.
Yeah, and whether or not, if they got into a situation where they needed to outscore somebody, if for whatever reason they had trouble on the defensive end, can they go in and win an 85-83 game if they need to? And that's the number one question in my mind for this team going forward, going into the SEC tournament, going into the NCAA tournament. Can they basically win a shootout? And I don't know that the answer is yes right now.
Talking with Mark Long of the Associated Press. Mark, Tom Schmitz here. When you look at February all the way through the end of the season, They've got Missouri, Kentucky, Georgia. They beat 3-game win streak in February. Really, the games that you need to look at if you think about this objectively are at Mississippi State versus South Carolina and at Kentucky, that 3-game stretch. If they can go 2-1 in that 3-game stretch, win all the other games, that's a 8-1 record from February through this. Then they solidify maybe a 3 or 4 seed so they don't get stuck in that dreaded 5-12 game?
Well, absolutely. And listen, that's not only do you not want to be a 5-12 seed, you never want to be a 5-12 seed nowadays, Tom, but more than anything is they want to play in Orlando, and you got to be a top 4 seed to play that close to home. And they played 3 games in Orlando already this year. They had great turnouts. They've got a great fan base in Orlando, centrally located, so they'll get people from Gainesville, Jacksonville, Tampa, Southwest Florida, certainly people from Miami. Orlando is almost the ideal spot for them to play. And when they were there a few years ago, they had great turnout. So I think they won't say it publicly, but more so than anything, that's in the back of their mind. You need to be a top 4 seed so that you're basically playing at home.
All right, thanks to Mark Long there. Hey, what's it like to know a star? Tom, you can answer that question. And be able to meet a star? Well, when Terry Bradshaw went to the Super Bowl, it was a lot more than about football. Bradshaw talks about Lady Gaga next on Southern Pigskin Tonight.
More with Buddy Martin and Southern Pigskin Tonight on the Southern Pigskin Radio Network next.
Volkswagen of Ocala's concern has always been great customer service. And now with their full lifetime warranties, they'll serve you even better than before. Volkswagen of Ocala is the best source for new and World Auto certified pre-owned Volkswagen cars, wagons, vans, and SUVs. Their professional and friendly staff can provide you with the best service to find the car you've been looking for. Stop by and see them west of I-75 on Highway 200 or VolkswagenofOcala.com. Volkswagen, the power of German engineering.
The weather is great, and that makes it great for golf. Come out to Pine Oaks of Ocala and play your next round. Bring your foursome and get the special 4 rounds, shared carts, and hot dog lunch after 9 a.m., all for just $99 plus tax. Try our weekend special after 11 a.m., $25 plus tax for a round of golf and cart. There's always $12 six-packs at Pine Oaks and the friendliest staff in Marion County. Go to PineOaksOcala.com or call 401-6940 for tee times.
What are you doing for dinner tonight?
I'm picking up Pomodoro Cafe. My husband loves their pasta, and their New York-style pizzas are my kids' favorites.
Pomodoro Cafe does carry out? Isn't all that food expensive?
Not at all. They do BOGO on pizzas, pasta, giant calzones, and hot sandwiches.
Wow, that's a great deal. How long is that special going on?
All the time. It's always BOGO when you carry out at Pomodoro's.
And you can choose from pizzas, pasta, giant calzones, and hot sandwiches?
Yep, and they even let you mix and match so that everyone can get exactly what they want.
That sounds like the best carry-out deal in town. Mind if I tag along to Pomodoro Cafe?
Everybody knows Pomodoro's is the perfect spot for a romantic evening or dinner with the family, but they're also home to the best carry-out deal in town. Every day is BOGO at Pomodoro Cafe when you carry out pizzas, pasta, giant calzones, and hot sandwiches. Conveniently located on 39th Avenue, just a short drive off of exit 390, Pomodoro's is sure to please every member of your family. Pomodoro Cafe, Gainesville's best carryout.
Not only does Triple Crown manufacture trailers, but they also service and repair all makes right at their facility. From boat trailers to enclosed trailers and everything in between. So challenge Triple Crown with your bearing job, rewiring, welding repairs, gate addition, hitch installation, or accessory. They're happy to help you service all trailers at Triple Crown Trailers. Call them today at 352-368-7885. That's 352-368-7885. And speak to their knowledgeable service staff to schedule your next appointment. Or stop by and visit Triple Crown's 2,100 square foot parts showroom at 4251 South Pine Avenue in Ocala. You can count on Triple Crown Trailers for quality service when you need it.
McCullough Water Service in Ocala provides distribution of bottled spring water and water coolers to residential and commercial clients, whether you need cases of 8-ounce bottles or BPA-free 5-gallon jugs for water coolers. You can rent a traditional or bottleless water cooler on a monthly basis and schedule regular water delivery so you never run out. All water coolers are equipped with the WaterGuard no-spill, sealed and sanitary stainless steel reservoir system. McCullough carries Nestle Pure Life Water, Zephyr Hills 100% natural spring water, and Zephyr Hills distilled water. They also deliver San Pellegrino, Aqua Panna, Perrier, and tea products from Nestle Waters. McCullough Water has been family-owned since 1976. Check out their full line of water treatment or bottleless filter coolers. Visit them online at McCulloughWater.com or call 1-800-351-2541.
The Dan Patrick Show, 9 a.m. Eastern on Fox Sports Radio.
This is Southern Pigskin Tonight with host Buddy Martin on the Southern Pigskin Radio Network.
We talked a lot, maybe too much, about Terry Bradshaw at the Super Bowl this week, but there was a fascinating interaction between he and a cultural icon. I'll just go ahead and use a cliche. Terry Bradshaw went gaga over Lady Gaga. Here's Terry, what the experience was like.
Let's just talk about Lady Gaga. I mean, all those people who said, oh, she's going to get political, and oh, she's going to ruin this whole thing, and oh, she knocked it out the park. Hand to God, I said to my wife, what if she came out in a spangled outfit and sang God Bless America? The critics zipped them up. They couldn't say a word about it.
I saw it on the
big screen.
Big screen,
yeah.
But the sound inside wasn't good.
Yeah.
Better on television, certainly. Her performance, I mean, high energy, and she's an amazing singer.
Yeah.
I don't know how it's been viewed.
Really good.
Critics.
Really good.
Okay.
Some of my people that have a strong right wing, and that's fine, leanings, who didn't want to like her, about 10 said she handled it with class. She never brought up the politics. Okay, give her credit. Let's just talk about Lady Gaga.
When I was at her press conference, I couldn't help but think to myself, watching her answer questions. At first, when she was introduced to probably 500 international reporters, all entertainment from around the world, she came out dressed really sharp. And the first thing she did was just stop, and she posed. And she went through several poses, and I went, wow, so that's how they do it. And Tammy and I were going, I was looking, I said, that's really big time, buddy. I mean, that's really big time. And I went, whew, this mega star here. And then she went up to the podium and started talking. And I thought, oh, this might be the sweetest celebrity I've ever met. I was always a fan of her music. And then I became a huge fan of her. Meeting her dad and her mom and all her family was with her. So sweet, so kind, so gracious, so humble, so patriotic in that press conference. And it was genuine, so it wasn't fake. And I just said, God, this is really a remarkable young woman. I asked my silly question, and then I presented her mother, Cynthia, with a football. And then later that night, I had to do a deal for Chase Bank. When I got there, the head of security took me to a room and said, they had a bunch of footballs back there, NFL footballs, and said, Lady Gaga's sent these over and want you to sign them. And she had me sign it for her mom and dad, for her aunts and uncles, and everybody was married. And it was, I sat there for about 20 minutes and signed a bunch of footballs that she herself had bought and had her people send over. So I'm talking, wow, this is a woman that cares about her family a great deal. And I came away, I couldn't watch the performance. I will tell you this. I saw it. No, I couldn't watch it live. I saw it early this morning when we got in, and I fast forwarded to it with sleep, and I watched it, and I thought, wow, boy, did it sound good, and was it and coming down, then dropping out of sight.
Yeah. Every detail.
Oh, God. And can you imagine how much money that cost?
Oh, my gosh.
Hey, she didn't have to foot the bill for it either.
No, she didn't. I think you should start every press conference with a pose. So if you were if you're starting a press conference now, let me see how would you pose?
Hey, walk out and get my.
Let's see if you can do Lady Gaga.
Yeah. Oh boy. Yeah, that was it was pretty cool. I've never seen that before.
Yeah.
I've walked the red carpet doing movies and stuff.
Yeah.
And the women, cross their leg or point one leg forward or whatever. But I never seen one just walk out knowing, well, everybody wants pictures. And she just walked out, stopped, and just started posing. And I'm like, whoa. So this is how you do it.
And you said you're the biggest stars I've ever seen. You said that on public right there.
Yeah.
I heard you.
I said you're the biggest star I ever seen, and I sang with Paul McCartney.
Yes.
So I screwed that song up.
You gonna sing with me?
It's been a hard day's night, and I've been sleeping like a dog or something. I don't know. I screwed it up so bad. And I was like, but man, he's sitting there and he was laughing. We had a blast. That was fun. So it was nice too. And listen, she didn't know who I was, and she didn't have to be. She was just as thrilled to meet me as I was her, and that made me feel pretty good. Yeah. And it made my wife had her arm around me, so she had to be going. This is my man.
Grandmother's got a crush on you.
Yeah, she does. Yeah, and she's single.
That was funny. That was the funniest thing.
I thought it was funny.
It was very funny, and some people didn't get it, which I think is really a problem. But that's just
probably
one of those fake news.
Some L.A. reporter. Yeah, who knows?
Happy trail.
Happy trail. I'm gonna drop it down.
All right, let's drop it on down and sing it.
I'm gonna go key O octave.
Oh boy, that's a tough one. I'll try it.
Happy trail. Happy trails to you until we meet again. And by the way, even though this is our last football telecast, I will continue to be talking sports with my boy here.
Oh, I appreciate it.
As we get our Facebook and
Twitter and. We're up now. We're up on radio listeners to like over 150 now. So, we're getting
150 people. I told you we were going to be stars.
Yeah. And getting some of those YouTube channels, they're getting over 100. So we're knocking it out the park.
We're knocking it out. Hey, we're going to get there.
So, Terry Bradshaw, talking about high-tech stuff. He's amazing. Always fun to have Terry on, especially when he's in a good mood. So, when I won't sing tonight.
He sang already. Buddy, I'd like to thank our guests today, Joe Williams, Steve Spurrier, and, of course, Mark Long.
Yes, absolutely. And don't forget, we are live 5 days a week here on Buddy Martin Show. On behalf of my broadcast partners, Tom Schmitz, Terry Bradshaw, I'm Buddy Martin, leaving you with this song. Life motto should be, do my best so I won't blame myself for anything. Hashtag down here.
This has been Southern Pigskin Tonight with your host, Buddy Martin, on the Southern Pigskin Radio Network.
They have special programs for nonprofit organizations and government programs. To find out more about how Document Technologies and CopyStar's award-winning color products can help your business,